Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Jamie Moraga, CEO of Franklin Revere and author of Revered, The Power of Female Leadership. And I have the honor of being a guest host and the special edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community podcast, the nation's longest running community podcast, now in its 20th year. We're live at the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial Annual Veterans Day celebration. The Spotlight on the Community podcast is brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, a company that has been supporting important causes in San Diego County for more than 6 decades. We're here live with Miles Bauer, trustee, Mount Soledad Memorial Association. Miles, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Miles, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you got involved with the association?
Sure thing. So I am a 2004 graduate of the Naval Academy, and I was an active duty Marine Corps officer, spent about 6 years on active duty, couple deployments in there. Ended up finishing my time in the service at Camp Pendleton. And I'm not originally from San Diego. I'm from outside the Philadelphia area originally, but finished my service at Camp Pendleton and was like, San Diego seems like a nice place.
I know, it draws you in.
Right? Yeah. And I think there's more people than you would imagine, you bump into in town here who, similar situation, right? Grew up somewhere else, ended up stationed in San Diego, decided it was a nice place and wanted to stick around. So I thought I'd give it a year or two, and here I am. I got out in 2010, and here I am, still living in San Diego. But the way I got involved with with Mount Soledad, so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back to school. I used some GI Bill to go back to school, and I was getting my MBA at San Diego State, and I had an opportunity to work for, actually open up the San Diego office, so San Diego chapter of a nonprofit called the Travis Manion Foundation.
Okay, yes.
A really great nonprofit. Travis and I were classmates at the Naval Academy. We were in the Marine Corps together. We were in Fallujah together when he was killed in action in 2007, and so had a relationship with the family and knew the family. Also both grew up in the Philadelphia area, so we were Eagles fans and, a whole bunch of different connections there. And when they were opening up a chapter of the foundation in San Diego in 2012, I think it was, about 2012, I was out here, and then Travis's roommate at the Naval Academy was a guy named Brendan Looney. Brendan was a SEAL who was killed in Afghanistan a couple years after Travis had been killed in Iraq. And Brendan's widow, Amy Looney, was living out here in San Diego.
Yeah.
And so the Manion family reached out and said, hey, Amy, Miles, would you guys like to open up a San Diego office for the Manion Foundation? And so that's kind of how I got involved in the first place with veteran service organizations and nonprofits in San Diego.
Yeah.
And so through that, I kind of moved on from that. I did that for a couple of years while I was finishing my MBA. And then I did some contract work for the Department of Defense, and I've since moved on to a couple different jobs here and there. But I've always stayed connected to the Veteran Service Organization ecosystem in San Diego, and through that is how I got to know Neil, which it turns out that we had crossed paths on active duty, right? I think like most Marines do at some point. And Neil is very good at pulling people into this organization. There's a lot of good people. A lot of good people who are part of this organization that are kind of in Neil's orbit that he pulled in. And so when Neil first asked if I wanted to be involved with the organization, I didn't think I had the time.
Right.
And I was like, Neil, I don't know. Maybe let's think about this in a year from now. But he asked me to come to breakfast, and when I went to breakfast, it was Neil and a guy named Alex Martin, who Alex and I were roommates at the Naval Academy. And so Neil had strategically brought Alex to come to breakfast and talk me into joining the board of trustees here. And so that's kind of how my introduction here started. Is like I had a couple years worth of time around veteran service organizations in San Diego, and then Neil reached out, and then he brought in Alex as the closer, and so
twist your arm, and
exactly.
You're like, yes,
yeah, they bought me breakfast, and and Alex, and so that's how it all came about. And it's only been about a year now, less than a year,
probably
about 10 months now.
Oh yeah. Wow! So how have you felt about being involved in the organization since you've joined within the last year?
It's a great question, because there are a lot of veteran service organizations that are doing various things in San Diego, right? This is a pretty saturated place for these organizations, which is great as a veteran around here, right? It's a great, this is the best town in the country to be a veteran in, maybe
very,
in the world, right?
Yeah, very military, supportive. And
there's just like a general underlying knowledge of the military here, right? And support for the military.
And respect.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think you could go to anybody in town here. You could go out in like Pacific Beach at 11 p.m. on a Friday and grab a random person and say, what do you know about the military? And they'd be like, well, my roommate's in the Navy, right?
There's always some kind of connection. Yes.
Always some kind of connection. And so, with all of that being in town here, there's a lot of ways to be connected, but Mount Soledad's really unique. And it's really unique because it's not, it's a place that honors living and deceased veterans, right? It's obviously in a beautiful location.
It is,
right?
It's gorgeous.
There's the ocean, there's downtown, there's Miramar, there's the mountains. It's really, so it's a special place from a location perspective. Mm-hmm. It's a special place because of what it does and how Mount Soledad does it. You know, having plaques with pictures and with the story is a really cool and really special thing. And so being part of this and seeing I had visited Mount Soledad, obviously, prior to being a trustee here.
Right.
But seeing the way that this group works together to accomplish things, and I had no idea the depth of events that they host here and the depth of education that they do and the giving that they do.
Yes.
And I just had no idea the depth of it before becoming a trustee. And so it's been awesome. It really has been amazing to see that and to be able to see the impact that this place has.
Yeah, it is truly amazing. And as I've learned even more just talking with fellow trustees and then also some of the staff here, it's just an amazing amount of work and blood, sweat, and tears that you all put into this association and the memorial itself.
Absolutely. And you gotta, under that kind of umbrella, you got to talk about the volunteers here.
Yes,
the volunteers.
Please tell a little bit about the volunteers. It's amazing.
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it's a lot of volunteers who put in a lot of time, and it's amazing what they do. To come up here and act in like a docent capacity, to come up here and like polish the plaques on a daily basis, and to keep it clean and to answer questions for people. The volunteers that are part of this are just unbelievable, and they make it so that this really feels like kind of a living thing.
Yes,
right. So
absolutely.
that if you were to just come up here and visit, like if you came in from out of town and you heard about Mount Soledad and you wanted to come visit and you came up here, you wouldn't just see plaques. You've got somebody here that's answering questions for you, or taking you to see a specific plaque, or telling you cool little stories that you might not have found out otherwise. So when it comes to the impact that Mount Soledad has, the volunteers here have to be mentioned as a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you all have mentioned about the volunteers and the docents, because, I didn't even know that there were people, the docents were up here able to ask questions and talk with visitors. So I think that letting the broader community know that they come up here, they can have that interactive experience and talk to people with the knowledge and really get a sense of what this whole memorial is all about.
Absolutely. If you come up here, you're going to see something cool, and you're going to meet somebody cool.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear great stories. It's impossible to come up here, talk to a volunteer docent, see some of the plaques, and hear some of the stories, and not walk away moved by what you've seen, what you experienced.
Absolutely.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
the opportunities that you see for the memorial in the coming years, especially since you're on the board of trustees? So, and then how can the community continue to support your efforts?
Great questions. I mean, I think as far as opportunities going forward, if you come up here and you take a look, you'll notice that we're going to run out of space.
Yes.
Right? Which is, great problem to have, right? There's clearly the plaques and the bricks are impactful, and they're hitting the right tone because we keep getting new ones.
Yeah, I was going to say, people keep wanting to come up here, and whether living or past, you're getting more and more stories that are up here.
That's exactly right. So I think that's clearly part of it. From an infrastructure perspective, there's going to have to be some growth in order to continue to sustain what we've got here and the opportunity. I mean, it would really, it would be tough to tell somebody we don't have room for your plaque right now if they really wanted one, right?
Yes.
So I think that's part of it from a future growth perspective is just the memorial continues to move people and they want to be part of it, and we need to make sure that the infrastructure is here to support that. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for future growth, and really that comes from, in order to do that, it takes money, and in order to have money for the organization, there's a lot of fundraising. So that ties to your second question, right, is what can people do to continue to support? The biggest thing you can do is come up here, right?
I agree.
Right? So come up here just on if you come up here to see a sunset or a sunrise, or you come up here on like a random afternoon, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Come up here for one of the events, Memorial Day or Veterans Day. There's I think there's retirements that happen here. There's the veteran honor ceremonies that happen here. There's a lot of opportunities to come up here and experience, and that's probably number one, right?
Yes.
But the next thing, you can't talk about Mount Soledad, an organization like this, and a place like this without mentioning fundraising is important. That's the reality of being in this space, and I think that for anybody who's interested in supporting, come up and take a look so that you know that if you're moved to provide some fundraising, you'll know that it's going to something that's really important and it makes a difference, and it really means something not just to the community but to the veterans who either have a plaque here or just come up here, right? And maybe it's somebody who comes to visit a plaque for a friend that they served with or a family member. So just know that that any donations or memberships, anything along those lines, without questions, it goes to something that makes a difference.
Yeah,
a positive one.
Absolutely. And then having the general public know that you're honoring not only veterans who have passed, but also ones that are living. So it's amazing what is up here and all the stories. I mean, we're just surrounded by stories right now and history. It's amazing.
It is. It's very special.
So what does Veterans Day mean to you? And then we have this wonderful Veterans Day celebration that's going to be happening shortly. So tell me how you feel about Veterans Day and how it impacts you.
Well, I am a veteran, obviously, so like that, it's important to me that we live in a place that cares about veterans, and I think there's a lot of stories over the years about veterans who've had good experiences or bad experiences. I think different generations of veterans have different experiences, but I mean, since the end of World War I, Veterans Day has been something in the United States that gets celebrated on an annual basis. And so just from the perspective of being an American, living in America, and being a veteran, it's just great that there's an opportunity on an annual basis to stop and pause and think about what service to this country means. And I think that's fantastic. On a very personal level, both Memorial Day and Veterans Day, I know that they're different, obviously, but for both of them, it's an opportunity for me to life gets busy, right? Kids and job and all the things that come with life. And it's an opportunity to pause a couple times a year, and Veterans Day in particular, to stop and just think about the guys and girls that I served with, my Naval Academy classmates, my friends from the Marine Corps. And it's just a nice opportunity to stop and remember that means something,
yes.
And that,
it's a good reflection point.
It's a good reflection, but thank you. It's a great way to put it. It's a good reflection point to just stop and take a break from all the different things that are going on in life on a daily basis and say, okay, this means something, like what we did together, serving and putting our hand up and volunteering. This is what it meant, is that it's for a place that we care about, and it's just, we've been looping that all together. It's nice that it's not just an opportunity to stop and reflect, but do it in a country that cares about it, in a community that really cares about it, and in a place as special as Mount Soledad. So you layer all that on top of each other, and this is always a special day. Plus, Veterans Day happens to be a day separated from the Marine Corps birthday.
Yes.
Right? So as a Marine, that means a lot to me as well. And so this time of year, there's always a lot of feelings, right? All the feels are coming in this time of year. You know?
I bet, and it's all in within the same week.
It's all condensed.
Yes.
Yeah, it all happens. By the end of next week, I will be very tired.
Lots of celebrating.
Lots of celebrating, exactly. Yeah.
So as we close out our time together, is there anything else that you wanted to mention to the listeners?
More than anything, I just want to emphasize, just come up here.
Yes.
That's it. Like if you're moved to make a donation or become a member or participate and volunteer in some way, that's awesome. But being a veteran and I on a very metaphysical level, I didn't, I had guys that I didn't bring home from deployments, right? And so a place like this really means something. And just even coming up here on a random day and seeing somebody that came up here that may not even have a connection to the military or the veteran community, that really means something, because it's like, maybe what we did mattered, you know? And so that's my message to the community, is just know that you may not even see it while you're up here, but I promise you that just coming up here and spending a minute and learning a couple veteran stories and acknowledging service, it means a lot. And so that's the biggest thing. Just come visit, have a good time, get some good views, maybe come for an event, maybe not, but just come up here.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community podcast. I'm Jamie Moraga, sitting in for Drew. We hope that you've enjoyed this interview. Thank you, Miles Bauer, trustee, Mount Soledad Memorial Association, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and congratulations on your book.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.